Right guys, in today's video we've got Dana White caught in 4K lying once again, or so it seems, and that's what we're going to determine in this video. I want to hear your guys' opinions if you think Dana White is spewing more lies or if he's actually spitting facts. Dana White did an interview with Kevin Iole, who is pretty much the GOAT of all the media members right now. He asks the hard-hitting questions. He doesn't care about upsetting Dana White, and I think Dana White secretly respects that, because Kevin Iole right here is the only journalist who actually gives Dana White any pushback, yet Dana keeps giving Kevin Iole the exclusive interviews. So Kevin is doing something right. I just want to give me props to Kevin for having some balls in the MMA media journalist world. I think it's safe to say we're all fed up of Dana White and fighters getting fed these softball questions. How do you feel about Conor McGregor's return? Dana, maybe you can speak about how Alex Pereira is looking recently. So we're going to take a look at this interview with Kevin Iole and Dana White. They talk about a few important topics. They talk about the UFC rankings and how they're just a mess right now. They talk about why Alex Pereira is fighting Khalil Roundtree, who was ranked number 9th in the light heavyweight division, and not fighting Ankalaev. And then Dana also talks about the problems with boxing. And guys, remember, before we dive into this video, we got UFC 307 this weekend. We're going live for it here on this channel. So if you're watching the UFC this weekend, then feel free to stop by on my channel, come and say hello and join in with the chat. We're gonna have a good night. And I also did my predictions video yesterday. Let's jump into this video. First, we've got Kevin Iole asking Dana White about the rankings, because they are a mess right now.
And you know, you mentioned breaking into the top 10 or top 5, and that brings up Moicano, because of course, you know, he's been pretty loud on social media about the rankings, the new UFC rankings. You know, he's number 11 right now. Did not move up after that performance. How does that get you?
Let's get into this. Hamzat Chimaev is number 12. Okay, Max Holloway is number 10. The guy he knocked out is number 3.
I'll show you right now. It's absolutely messed up. Let's take a look at the lightweight division. How the hell is Justin Gaethje ranked 3rd when he just lost in a dominant fashion to Max Holloway, ranked 10th? I know Max Holloway is fairly new to the division. Besides his fight with Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, whatever, he's new to the division. And I probably wouldn't even mind if Max Holloway was bumped up to maybe number 5, just below Dustin Poirier, because then you can make the argument of, okay, well, he beat Gaethje, but he lost to Dustin Poirier, so let's put him at number 5. That makes a little bit more sense. No, let's keep him down at number 10. And Renato Moicano beat St. Denis, and to not move Moicano whatsoever, it doesn't make much sense. But surely Moicano should be above Fiziev, who hasn't fought in ages. Moicano should definitely be a little bit closer to Matthias Gamrot and Beneil Dariush, at least. It doesn't make much sense. Right now, here Dana White talks about how the rankings are formulated.
I got to find some media guys that know the fight sport, that understand the sport of fighting, that are actually doing the rankings. So the rankings are definitely a problem. Moicano, I agree with you 100%. But don't worry, my friend. AI will be here soon, and this will all be fixed. We get all these bums that know nothing about fighting out of this shit and get AI in here, and we can fix all these rankings. I could go through this board for a fucking hour with you about the rankings and the MMA media.
And well, and of course, I should just say I am not voting in those rankings. So, but
why not? Why not? Should be. Let's get some people in there that know what the they're talking about.
Before
what do you think about Max Holloway being number 10 in the lightweight division when Justin Gaethje is number 3?
I don't agree with that, given what happened in the fight. But here's how I think that happens, Dana. Take college football. You have number 5 play number 25, right? So if number 25 beats number 5, they never move all the way up to number 5. They might move from 25 to 15 or 16, and number 5 moves down from 5 to 10, right? That's generally how it works. Like, people say, okay,
this ain't college football where every year a team is fucking different with different players. Max Holloway is one of the greatest fighters in the history of the fucking sport.
I agree.
You college football shouldn't even be mentioned when you talk about this sport. Okay?
Yeah, I know what Dana's saying, but Kevin Iole does have a little bit of a point. It's basically what I was saying. You know, the fighters should move up even just a little bit to keep them exactly the same, or move down. Max Holloway's went down one is just a bit wild. So there needs to be some sort of middle ground, but Dana White said that they're working on some sort of AI system to rank fighters, which, to be honest, I probably wouldn't be that mad at, because when you go on the UFC website and you scroll right down to the bottom to this small link right here, I almost missed it, to be honest. It tells you how the rankings are determined. Rankings were generated by a voting panel made up of media members. The media members were asked to vote who they feel are the top fighters in the UFC by weight class and pound for pound. A fighter is only eligible to be voted on if they are in active status within the UFC. Shaun Jones. A fighter can appear in more than one weight division at a time. The champion and interim champion are considered to be the top positions of their respective divisions and therefore are not eligible for voting by weight class. However, the champions can be voted on for the pound for pound rankings. And then it says here all the different media outlets that they have media members from vote on the rankings. Madness. Next we have Kevin Ioli. Ask Dana White, why is Pereira not fighting Ankalaev? Why was that fight not made?
Alex Pereira is defending, Alex Pereira will have fought probably 50 times by the time Conor McGregor gets back into action.
True.
And Alex is defending his belt against number 8 Khalil Rountree. And yesterday I did an interview with 3, I know you ripped the MMA media, but I don't think you're going to rip Daniel Cormier, Chael Sonnen, or Teddy Atlas. And I spoke to the 3 of them yesterday and I said, what kind of chance does Khalil Rountree have to win this fight? And I wrote a story and how does the fight go? And all of them, and Chael is outright picking Khalil to win the fight. And Daniel and Teddy say it's no big shock if he does win it, that he has the capability of winning the fight. Having said that, let's go to the rankings. He was ranked number 8, and you made a fight a week or 2 before that for number 2, Magomed Ankalaev. Why did you make an Ankalaev fight when he was number 2? When you knew Alex was going to be in the mix here very shortly?
I don't remember exactly what the timing of that was, but we didn't make a fight. At the time we made the Khalil Rountree fight, Ankalaev already had a fight.
Right. So, and that's what I'm asking you. So Ankalaev was fighting Alexander Rakic. You made that fight maybe 2.5 weeks before you made Rountree versus Alex. And I was surprised that you would put a number 8 guy in. Not criticizing Khalil, because I feel like Daniel and Chael, that Khalil is a good fighter and it'll make a fun fight.
And we did too.
But just the is that the reason why you made the fight as opposed to Ankalaev? Just the fact that it might be a bombs away showdown?
I mean, eventually when we made the fight, that's why we made it. But I don't remember the timing of everything that happened. But Ankalaev had a fight. Listen, Ankalaev's ranked number 2. He goes out and puts on an unbelievable performance, and Alex is still the champion. Then he's next.
Yeah, Pereira addressed this a while back on his Instagram, and he said, everyone's saying that I was ducking Ankalaev, but I was offered the Ankalaev fight, and Ankalaev said no. And Israel Adesanya said on his channel that Ankalaev was trying to dictate to the UFC when he wanted the championship fight, so the UFC went a different route instead, and you can't do that unless you've got leverage. Alex Pereira has got so much more leverage than Ankalaev. But Pereira expressed his interest in wanting to fight Ankalaev. Ankalaev said no. He's now fighting Alexander Rakic instead, which should be a fun fight. And Pereira wants to stay busy. And the last time I did a video like this, I said, look, who else is Pereira going to fight in the division? Already beat Jiri Prochazka twice. Magomed Ankalaev, yes, but he's got a fight booked already. And he said no to the first time he was offered the Pereira fight. Jamal Hill, Pereira beat him. Jan Blachowicz, Pereira beat him. Alexander Rakic, not quite there yet, coming off a loss against Jiri Prochazka. Volkan Oezdemir, not quite there yet. Nikita Krylov, not quite there yet. Could be a good matchup, but needs to string another couple wins together. Khalil Rountree, yeah, he's on a win streak. Johnny Walker, no. Carlos Ulberg, no. Maybe eventually further down the line. There is no one in the light heavyweight division. Alex Pereira, he's injury-free and he wants to stay busy. So give him Rountree. Then we'll see how Magomed Ankalaev does. If he wins that fight, then yeah, we do the Pereira matchup. People saying that Alex Pereira is ducking Ankalaev. Pereira confirmed he wanted the fight, and Ankalaev said no. This isn't my words, by the way, guys. It's Alex Pereira's words. Before there's anyone in the comments saying you don't know what you're talking about, Shaun. Alex Pereira said this on his Instagram. I did a video covering it here on my channel. Okay, next, Dana White goes on a rant about Francis Ngannou, claiming that he's making more money in boxing than he ever would have done with the UFC. Dana claims that it's all cap, as the cool kids say. It's all lies. And then he goes on a rant about how the business model of boxing is broken and it needs to be fixed. And that's why Dana White's getting into boxing.
Let me ask you one question then about Francis Ngannou doing that, right? So he fights the Tyson Fury fight, makes a shit ton of money. And I thought the fight wasn't very good, but because it was close and he knocked Tyson Fury down, he gets another fight against Anthony Joshua and makes an even bigger, pile of money. So I am not a fan of crossover fights, and I am always saying no, no, no. And that's one of my issues with Jake Paul, right? All these crossover fights that he does. But isn't Ngannou evidence that for some people it works, right? Because Ngannou made more money than he would have had he stayed either with you or been fighting MMA in the PFL, right?
That's not necessarily true.
Really?
Not necessarily true. That's the bullshit publicly the people believe, but that's not the truth.
Oh, we got the angry Dana face. You'd only ever get this angry Dana face when he's speaking to Kevin Iole. I love it. Big shout out to Kevin Iole. He's going to end up being one of the GOATs of MMA journalism.
Okay.
Total bullshit.
All right.
Kevin doesn't believe him. He's like, all right, okay, whatever you say, Dana.
That's that whole myth that makes everybody go, oh, you can go to boxing and all this bullshit. Boxing don't work, Kevin.
Right.
Boxing
Why doesn't it work? What is it? What is the thing that makes it? I have my own take, and I've written it many times.
What makes it work?
What makes it not work? What makes it struggle?
Fucking trillionaire to make fucking fights. Okay, and even Saudi trillionaires get tired of the fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all a myth that puts out like the whole statement that you just made to me. That's absolutely positively not true. It's those type of fucking statements and those type of quotes by the media that makes all this shit. All these fights are happening. It takes a Saudi fucking trillionaire. Every fucking guy that tries to do the boxing thing, they all end up losing loads of fucking money. And the model doesn't work. A Saudi unlimited amount of money pops up, and that's what makes these fights happen. And even guys with that kind of money get fucking tired of the bullshit.
I'm not going to lie, guys. I think Dana's low-key cooking, making a fair point. It takes a Saudi effing trillionaire to come and get the job done. I'm only just really getting into boxing. I'm only at the surface level of it right now. But you got to look at it for what it is. Since Turki Al-Sheikh has came into boxing, all the big fights are getting made. Like, I don't know all the fights that Turki Al-Sheikh has put on, but when you Google it, you can see you got Joshua Dubois. That just happened. One of the biggest fights this year. Beterbiev versus Bivol. Oh, my days. The fight that no one should bet on because it's so 50-50. It's so hard to choose in that fight. Usyk versus Fury, the first fight. And then the rematch as well. Joshua and Dubois will be the rematch too. Alvarez versus Crawford. Turki Al-Sheikh expressed that he wanted to put Terence Crawford versus Conor McGregor on. At the end of the day, since Turki Al-Sheikh has came about, all these fights are now happening. So Dana White kind of got a little bit of a point. Too much politics involved. We seen Chris Eubank the other day at the press conference talking about his dodgy dealings with Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn and how they've sued him and they owe him money and this and that. In fact, let's just play it right now.
On the promotional team, you've chosen Boxer. Why?
Because every other promoter out here is a scumbag. That's why. We've got Frank Warren behind me. Been lying and cheating his way through boxing for the last couple decades. Sued me for a couple $100,000 a few years ago, so obviously I was never going to go with him. The guy's a scumbag. Kalle Sauerland, had me locked up.
Speak up, I can't hear you.
Kalle Sauerland had me locked up in a terrible contract for the last few years, squeezing money out of me at every opportunity. Scumbag.
Let's go, Chris.
Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith. They did everything they could to try and make this fight against Conor Benn still go ahead.
This scumbag.
Still go ahead.
Why don't you fight Hamza Sharad, scumbag?
After knowing that they, that he was on steroids. Scumbags. I would say the only.
Why do you ask?
I would say the only promoter that I know for sure isn't a scumbag is His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. This is a man who isn't trying to take money from fighters. He isn't trying to use lawyers and accountants to lock fighters up in slave contracts. He's a man of God. He's a man of religion. That's what's most important to the people of Saudi Arabia. He just wants to put the biggest fights on, the best events on, and pay fighters what they're worth. And as a fighter, it's a blessing to be a fighter at this moment of time.
Look at Frank Warren's face there. Absolutely shocked and stunned that Eubank is just speaking out so candidly about this. It's crazy. Say what you want about the UFC, there's always going to be politics involved to a certain extent, but boxing is notorious for having a lot of politics get in the way of the best fights being made. And Chris Eubank confirmed it right there. Frank Warren, scumbag. Eddie Hearn, scumbag. The only legit one is Turki Al-Sheikh, but once again, Dana White's saying, what does that say about boxing when you need a Saudi trillionaire to come in and save the day?
I start reading stuff and looking at stuff in the boxing world, and I literally say to myself every day, am I fucking crazy?
Yeah.
Why do I want to even think about doing this? I must be fucking nuts. It is the most fucked up business. And all these sound bites like the ones that you just had are all so full of shit that it makes everybody fucking believe that that shit is true when it's not. And it makes everything worse.
My personal opinion, I think Dana White is spitting some facts there. Definitely about boxing being corrupt. I don't know about Francis Ngannou getting paid more within the UFC than he did boxing. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you'd agree with and disagree with based on what Dana White is saying right here. UFC 307 this weekend. Let's go. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you tune into this channel for the live fight companion. We upload fight content every single day. Professional stuff, fun stuff. Check out the channel if you're new to it. I'll see you tomorrow.